live coverage of the 2024 Ghanaian parliamentary and presidential elections. My name is Kweku Zurich and I'm joined on set by my co-hosts
Charles Benoni Okain.
Now, as the day progresses, we've seen major moments unfold that are shaping today's voting experience across the country. Now, this broadcast is brought to you by the Graphic News Plus app, available on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Now, with the Graphic News app, you are assured of the latest updates on today's elections, the latest accurate, authentic news in this era of misinformation and disinformation. Now, let's dive into the first story of our first update of the day, where the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has casted his vote in Wale Wale. Dr. Bawumia is the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, and he voted at the Periga Presby Police Station in Wale Wale today. Surrounded by officials and supporters, Dr. Bawumia expressed confidence in a fair election process and encouraged Ghanaians to exercise their democratic rights. Now let's take a visuals of what Dr. Bawumia said after the voting. Yeah. So in our second story, Dr. Bawumia has not been the only high-profile candidate that voted in today's election. We've had the running mate of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, voting in Komenda. Additionally, we've also had another presidential candidate of the Ghana Union Movement, Mr. Kobna Andrews, also voting in Odoko. Now, Mr. Okain, you've already seen some of these visuals that have come in from our presidential candidates. Some of them, or most of them, all of them expressing a lot of confidence in the electoral process so far.
Yes, that is not surprising. Of course, once they put their names on the ballot, they need to speak as they are spoken. They are all confident. They've all gone through the length and breadth of the country. So they having confidence is based on what the people have told them, the experiences that they've had on the field. So I'm not surprised each of them, claiming to be the victor at the end of the day. One thing I'm very excited about from all the comments that they made is about the fact that there should be peace at the end of the day.
Yes.
I mean, if at the end of the day there's no peace, then who will you rule over? So I'm happy, and I expect that throughout the day they should keep drumming that message to their supporters, their party executives, their party chairmen all over the place to be calm. Things will go right. I mean, we shouldn't. The stakes are high, but at the end of the day, it's a contest where only one party or one candidate wins. So let's all, have this thing done and then maintain our name, Ghana, as a beacon of peace. And when it comes to elections, even places in America, they hold us in high esteem. Yes.
Yeah, and today's elections, undoubtedly, we have two front runners, the NDC candidate, John Dramani Mahama, and the incumbent or the MPP candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And we saw in one of the clips, Dr. Bawumia stopping short of going out there saying he was on course to get the 51%. What did you make of that exchange with the reporter?
Yes, I found that a bit interesting. I was expecting that with all the confidence that he has exhibited throughout his campaign and even now, at least he should have put a figure. But even if he had said 50 plus 1, I mean the 50 plus 1 gets you there. So I found that a bit interesting, but he has a strategy, and I think it's okay.
Now let's go to another constituency that has drummed up a lot of interest on social media as well as on traditional media, and I'm speaking about Awutu Senya. And in the Awutu Senya area, I made an error there. I'm speaking about the Awutu Senya constituency, where Madam Hawa Kumsin, the incumbent MP, earlier voted at the Catholic JHS Kaswa 1 polling station. A total of 173,989 voters are expected to vote across 314 polling stations in that constituency. This marked the fourth consecutive time that Hawa Kumsin who currently serves as the Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture, is contesting that seat. Kumsin first contested the seat in 2012 when it was carved out of the Awutu Senya constituency. She won the seat, defeating Nuhu Adams, the then MCE, for the NDC. And I'm spending a lot of time on this story, Mr. Okan, because there's a lot of interest when it comes to Kaswa, especially looking at the numbers. And the numbers sort of indicate that Ms. Kumsin numbers, her margin of victory appears to be on the decline, because she defeated Adams once again with a margin of 11,000 votes. However, in the 2020 poll, the margin reduced to 5,000 when the NDC fielded a candidate, Phillips Nakoyo Okuno. Today's election sees a repeat of that same contest, with Kumsin and Okuno vying for the same seat. As voting continues in the constituency, Hawa Kumsin expressed confidence in a free and fair election, urging all constituents to turn out in large numbers to make their choices heard. Do we have any visuals of Hawa Kumsin speaking today after casting a ballot? If you can put that up. Yeah, so Mr. Okan, if you take a look at that particular constituency, we see the margin dropping from 10,000 to 5,000. Is that trend going to continue, and should Ms. Kumsin be worried?
Yes, you see, if I take you back a little bit,
Yes.
you've noticed that in many other strongholds,
Yes.
the margins keep reducing.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that, there may be a swing. If you look at 11,000 that she had before,
Yeah.
and now that she has about
5,000. Yes.
I seriously don't see how Okuno can overtake. I can say that the margins will may reduce drastically. But I know how Kumsin has done a lot of work in her constituency. She's held the constituency to her heart, and she's vowed heaven and earth to maintain it. However, Okuno is also on the ground. From the reports that I've had, that she's very tactical with the way she's going about her campaign. And these elections, we expect a lot of surprises, and I wouldn't be too surprised if Okuno takes it. But Hawa is very much on the ground. She owns the constituency.
Yeah. And in our next story, this is a story that a lot of my media colleagues, including Mr. Okan, have a lot of interest in, and it has to do with the Electoral Commission now announcing that they've opened the National Election Coalition Center to all media. The EC at a press conference today said all media houses, contrary to the earlier announced limited access, all media houses can now get access to this coalition center. At a press conference, the EC chairperson, Ms. Jen Mensah, highlighted the Commission's commitment to ensuring transparency, responsiveness, and inclusiveness throughout the whole electoral process. The National Elections Coalition Center in Accra serves as the hub where the final results from all the 276 constituencies will be validated and declared. It is equipped with systems to ensure accurate data collations, and election officials are on standby to address any concerns or discrepancies that may arise. And Mr. Okan, first off, I think this report came out last week with the EC restricting access to some media houses, particularly radio and television stations. What did you make of that directive and now the reversal?
You see, from when this whole process started, yeah, I've noticed one thing about the EC that I am happy about. If they come up with something and the public points out to them that, oh no, you can't do this, they immediately review and then get the right thing done. You see, early on, we saw the EC come to GJ to provide a list of all media houses and media personnel who should be accredited. Yeah. So when I heard the news that it has been limited, I felt it was a bit unfortunate. But EC, open as they are, transparent as they are, engaged, what do you call it, the GJ, and that issues were resolved. EC has drummed home transparency.
Yes.
And how can you be transparent if you limit the number of media houses that are supposed to see something? And how would you even select them? So opening it up is an exercise we've seen way back. And I want to commend EC for opening up. And again, also commend GJ President very highly for also stepping in to remind EC that, look, you gave us the opportunity to give you a list of all the media houses that we've accredited. So EC should ensure that those who are accredited are those who will be in the collation center. I don't think that there will be anything against it.
But one of the concerns the EC raised is that looking at the size of the room where these results will be collated and validated, they were expecting some concerns about chaos from our journalist colleagues that will be in that room. Are those concerns justified, or some have said journalists have never been the cause of chaos in any election? So why this time?
Oh no! So I don't think since I started reporting elections in Ghana here, I've seen journalists cause trouble. I mean, they are there to report the news. So no matter how small the place is, they try as much as possible to fit in. Those who come early, they are the ones who are the forefront.
Yeah.
Any other person who comes in late stands at the back. And at the point with this particular one, you see them sharing information amongst themselves. It's a very critical thing. Everybody wants something.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I don't think the journalists are so, what do you call it? They are law abiding. They are law abiding, and they are there to do their work. I don't think they will cause any chaos. I haven't seen that before.
I'd like to remind viewers that today's broadcast is live on Facebook at Daily Graphic, on X at Graphic GH, and on YouTube at Graphic Online TV. And this broadcast is also sponsored by the Graphic News Plaza. Now, I'd like every one of our viewers at home to be very attentive as my co-host, Mr. Charles Benoni Okine, provides some insights on the growth rates of the current EC register by region. Mr. Okine, take us away.
Okay. So, as we all know, we have 18,774,159 million voters casting their vote in all the 16 regions of this country.
Yeah.
There are 276 constituencies. We have the main, polling stations, 40,647. And the special voting that has already happened, we had polling stations that were about 328. Now, let me give you, as Zurich introduced you to the growth of the register by region. And I'm going to do this alphabetically. Let's note the word alphabetically. So I am starting with the Ahafo region. In 2020, the total number of voters in Ahafo was 316,936. In 2024, it has risen to 359,284. That is a difference of 42,348, and also a difference by percentage of 13.36%. Now, when we come to the Ashanti region, I know the Ashanti region is of interest to everybody.
Yeah.
In 2020, it was 3,20,141 million voters. In 2024, it has shot up to 3.295274 million. That is a difference of 275,133. A difference in percentage is also 9.11%. Now, when you go to the Bono region, we have 653,637. It has also gone up in 2024 to 719,916, a difference of 66,279, and then 10.14% percentage-wise. Bono East has 594,617, which has also shot up in 2024 to 672,830, a difference of 78,213. By percentage, is 13.15%. For the central region, we have 1,568,342. That is in 2020. In 2024, it has also gone up to 1.7 million, 1.752 million 165. That is a difference of 183,823. That is 11.72%. Eastern region has also gone up marginally from 1.652717 million to 1.810421, a difference of 158 million, 58,000, 9.54%. Now, Greater Accra region, which carries the majority when it comes to number of votes, has also gone up from 3.529.179 million in 2020 to 3.765303, with a jump of 336,124. But in percentage terms, it's a bit smaller. That is about 6.69%. The Northeast has, in 2020, 289,535 voters. In 2024, it's gone up to 339,883. The difference here is 50,334. The northern region has also gone up. It's gone up from in 2020, which was 1.50014 million to 1.210.090 million. That is a difference of 160,000. The OT region has also gone up from 349,802 to 410,667, a difference of 61,000 almost. Savannah region from 298,402 to 342,431. A difference of 44,029. Upper East region has also gone up to 66,534 to 71,288, a difference of about 81,000. Upper East has also shot up from 469,755,000 to 518,544, a difference of 48,789. Volta region has shot up from 924,188 to 1,023,830. That is very high here. It's the difference is about 99,712.
Yeah.
That in percentage terms is 10.79%. And then the last but not the least, Western region has also gone up from 1.214957 in 2020 to 1.288871. A marginal difference of 6.08%. And then finally, the Western North has also gone up from 468,000 to 683 in 2020. And then in 2024, we have 522,506, a difference of 53,823, and in percentage terms, 11.48%. So, Zurich, this is what we have per the growth rate in the regional voter register.
Yeah. So when you were speaking, I was taking down some notes from what you were saying, and I won't put you on the spot, so don't worry about that. But if everything goes based on a trend analysis of previous elections, where we expect the MPP to dominate in the Ashanti region and the NDC to dominate in the Volta region, I foresee a case where Greater Accra, per your presentation, Central, and the Western region could be kingmakers in this election, looking at the figures that you had out there.
Definitely.
Greater Accra, Central, and Western.
Definitely. If you look at the trend from 1992, Greater Accra, Central, Western has always been the kingmakers. The traditional strongholds still hold. The only thing that you normally see is that the margins may reduce. Let's take Ashanti region for instance.
Yeah.
MPP is projecting to up their numbers to 85%.
Yeah.
NDC is also saying up to 35%.
Yeah.
So it tells you that NDC is aware that Ashanti region is a stronghold of the opposition, the ruling party.
MPP, yeah.
However, they just want to close the margin, or they want more votes there, so that at the end of the day, they can, add up to what they have in their strongholds to win. In the Greater region, for instance, the MPP is targeting to have about 20%. You know how the voter region also votes.
Yeah.
It's a very strong hold. But once the numbers increase in those areas, then it boosts your chances of winning.
Yeah. So voters, you've heard the analysis. So when the results start coming in, when the polls close at 5 p.m., be on the lookout for the results of Greater Accra, Central, and Western. These may indicate where the election is headed. Now, we'll take you around the country for a brief on some of the topical events or some of the highlights, and in some cases, if I may say so myself, lowlights of the election so far. For instance, in the Latter-day Kotopon constituency, tensions rose earlier when allegations of vote busing emerged, leading to a brief altercation between voters and local authorities. The situation was quickly diffused with the intervention of police and military personnel who arrested some 2 individuals. There have been no reports of injuries, and voting resumed shortly after the brief disruption. Authorities have assured voters that the process remains secure. Now, Mr. Okan, let me come to you again. Busing of voters, in your own opinion, is there anything wrong if a party decides that, okay, maybe in the Western North, I know I have a lot of registered members in Ashaiman, so let me put 3 buses down, I'll take them, they go to vote, and I'll bring them back later in the day. Is there anything wrong with such a practice?
To give you a very fair and honest opinion, there is nothing wrong with assisting your supporters to go to wherever they want to cast their ballot to do so. What I am against is where these buses may have some weapons or ballot papers or anything that will disrupt the beauty and the peace of the elections.
What about maybe some 20 cedis or 50 cedis
You
for
see,
water or food to travel? Would that constitute vote buying?
It constitutes vote buying. But you see, at the end of the day, have we been able to stop it?
No.
Let me take you back a bit. If you look at even at the registration, during the registration,
Yeah.
what did you see? We saw all these things happening. But at the end of the day, was there peace? You see some altercations here and there, but at the end of the day, the broad thing that we appreciate is that there is peace. So allow them to do it. But I urge all the parties involved to ensure that there's peace at the end of the day. That's the only thing. If you want to rule, you don't rule a nation where there's chaos. I mean, you can't rule a nation
Yeah.
with chaos. So once there is peace, personally, I think it's okay. I think it's okay.
Okay, so let's continue our tour around the country where, as the day progresses with polls set to close at 5 p.m., voters continue to turn out in large numbers. In Sekondi, for instance, early queues began forming at 4:30 a.m., and by 7 a.m., the polling stations were filled. The Adenta constituency also saw a strong turnout, with voters arriving even before polling stations opened. However, some areas faced challenges, including delays at the Olamoshi Islamic Academy in Gomwa East, where the voting was pushed back due to logistical issues. Meanwhile, in Kokobrite, a shortage of ink at polling stations led to a slight delay in the start of voting, but the situation was quickly addressed. Reports from the northern region indicate that voting is proceeding smoothly in Tamale and Bolgatanga, with many voters lining up early to cast their ballots. The polling stations in the regions have also been accommodating persons with disabilities and elderly voters to ensure a more accessible process. Now, Mr. Okain, I would like to come to you because we've seen some of the pictures, some of the visuals, some touching scenes where people who had queued, at times maybe as early as 3 a.m., were magnanimous and humble enough to allow lactating mothers, the elderly, people with side challenges to jump the queue, in essence. I think this speaks a lot about the Ghanaian spirit.
Yes. I agree with you 100%. And you see, it also tells about how accommodating we are. You see, those, let's say for instance, you've seen an old lady or an old man or a visually impaired person who has come there to vote. The person who is going to allow those people to cast their ballots, you don't even know whether they support your party or not.
Yeah.
But it tells you that we all are at peace with each other and we want to help the vulnerable. That is our Ghanaian culture. The hospitality that we talk about, the kind of love for each other that we talk about is there. Is very ingrained in our DNA, and I'm happy to see all these things. The visuals are exciting, and everybody seeing it. The whole world knows that Ghana, when it comes to respecting our elderly, when it comes to according some assistance to the vulnerable people, we do that without any bending an arm. You know.
Let's not forget about some of our first-time voters. There was a case in Botiano where a voter in the parliamentary voting took the ballot paper. I don't know whether a first-time voter, I don't know whether he or she forgot to thumbprint and just folded the paper and placed it in the box and wanted to go back for another paper, but the person was told that once the paper has entered the box, they can't be given another paper to vote in the parliamentary election. I don't know what this speaks about voter education. The education that first-time voters need, because it's not straightforward. Even there's a way to fold the paper.
Yes, that story is very interesting. But you see, what parents, what I would encourage parents to do is that, particularly when you know your ward is going to vote for the first time, in spite of the what do you call it, the education that has gone on from the National Council for Civic Education has done, and all the political parties have done, it is your responsibility as a parent to also guide your child or your ward to also go through the process in a manner that he or she will not go to the polling station to do this kind of thing. It's unfortunate, but I think the onus lies on parents to help educate before they go. Educate them that, look, when you go, you have to first ensure that you get your ballot paper from the right source. You go into the booth, you thumbprint against the candidate that you want. You clean your hands, you go for the next one for the parliamentary, and you do same, and you fold it quietly and making sure that the ink does not spill over into another candidate's picture, because once it's done that way, you lose your vote.
Now, word just coming in to me indicates that we have some visuals of ongoing voting involving some MPs and persons who are close to the leading parliamentary candidates. For instance, we have visuals from the Ablekuma West MP, Madam Awutu Akufu. We also have some visuals from Joyce Bawa Muktari, the spokesperson of the National Democratic Congress candidate, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, as well as visuals from Ladade Kotopon MP, Madam Rita Naodelesowa. Now, if you are ready, team, for our viewers to watch. So,
I actually have. We were monitoring events from the office, and I heard about an incident at the Assemblies of God when we were sending food to our agents, and the NDC created a scene there, and it's being reported as if we were inducing voters with food. We never do that, and I think it's incumbent on the journalists to accurately report incidents and not create alarmist situations. We never do that. All our agents here are fed. We've asked them to work for us since dawn. We have to ensure that we've given them breakfast, we've given them lunch, and we've given them dinner. And so we have cars going around distributing food to our agents. They got to the Assemblies of God polling station, and the NDC were insisting that we had stuffed the food packs with something, and so they created a scene there. And I've read online portals carrying it as if the voters there were hooting at food that we were sending to people in the queue. That's grossly inaccurate. And I'd be grateful if at least you take the trouble to ascertain exactly what's going on. I mean, if I come here and people started shouting for whatever reason, not everybody in this constituency votes NPP. So definitely they have NDC people whom they can induce to create unnecessary tension and confusion here. We don't want any incident in Ablekuma West. Everybody wants to come out and vote peacefully. We've conducted our campaign peacefully. They are determined to create something just for making news. We're not interested in that. We're interested in creating the conditions for people to come out and demonstrate that they fully support the Member of Parliament and are going to throw their weight behind Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So I'm sending this note of caution to them. We will not tolerate any such incident from them. I and my people are prepared to do whatever it takes to promote the peace in this constituency. But if they come and misbehave, we'll meet them squarely. And I charge you reporters to report accurately. The food we are sending is food we send to all our agents in every polling station, every election, and you're aware of that. So if we're sending food packs to our agents, how do you create the impression that we're seeking to induce voters in the queue with food? We've never done that. So where from this?
Well, up next, that was the Minister for Communications, Madam Awutu Akufu, speaking there. But up next, let's hear from somebody who is very close to one of the key contenders in today's poll. I'm speaking about the special aide to the former president and flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, Madam Joyce Bawa Muktari. Let's hear what she has to tell us today.
Public conversations and serve as intimidatory tactics. And these are the things we are talking about. We saw various correspondences telling us that people were not going to be deployed. Next thing we know, they are there and they are in uniform. I don't mind that they are there to ensure the peace, but the issue is that we should have been told. These are matters that should be out there, communicated effectively and transparently. And I still want to urge you in the media to be sure that anybody you see whose conduct is not in tandem with what you and I believe is their duty or responsibility, do well to expose them. I think this is a citizen's responsibility, and the media can help us in that direction. So for us, genuinely, I know that every attempt is being made to twist the arms of the people of Ghana. But I'm convinced, as God is our witness, that this election today is certainly going to be won by John Dramani Mahama and the NDC.
How is the camp of John Dramani Mahama taking the border closures? Is this something you had anticipated?
You know, I am convinced that it's something that our security team had actually anticipated, first and foremost. But you see, I also know that in the days of John Mahama, when he was in office, for example, normally, yes, the security, whatever would take place and the borders would close at some point. But I remember that in the morning of the election, actually, they were open for a few hours. And you see, it is only when you sense, for example, that there's trouble, or you sense that there are a lot of new people, unidentified persons coming in. Otherwise, borders are also manned by people. And so someone may probably be in a border town that is about 10 minutes. For example, when you go to Elugu, I mean, it's pretty like 10 minutes walking to a polling station, for example. I think that some discretion is also allowed and should actually be something that 30 years later, after 1992, we must change the narrative. I am looking forward to far-reaching electoral reforms. You know, maybe because this time we've been so closely associated with every process, for example, I see so many avenues that you need immediate attention in the aftermath of this election.
There's some polling stations that are yet to start. How worrying is that?
Very, very worrying. Judging by the fact that polls close at 5 p.m. I also do know that once you are within the vicinity of the polling station, you'll be allowed to vote. But of course, if it starts, for example, at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. or 12 a.m., how is it possible for people to finish voting by 5 p.m.? So, well, I'm sure that I think in 2020, they extended it for a few hours for some of those particular places. I know a place where it didn't happen the next morning because the electoral material got there very, very late. So these are matters that are within the bosom of the electoral commissioner and her commissioners, and I have no doubt in my mind that they will be addressing the matter. You see, look, we are not in the church, we are not in the mosque, we are certainly not in the business of going to, sell our faith and matters to do with faith. We are conducting an election. God has made sure that in His own we have all lived to see this day and in good health. All we need the EC chair and her commissioners to do is to focus on the work at hand, the processes leading up to a free, fair, and transparent election. That is all.
In case you are just tuning in, that was the special aide to the former president and flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, Madam Joyce Bauer Mukhtari there. And we are coming to you live from the Graphic Online studios here on the Graphic Road. We've brought you some stories earlier. One of those key stories had to do with the MP for Awutu Senya East, Madam Mavis Hawakumsin, who voted earlier this morning, and she had some words to share with us after casting her ballot. Can we take those visuals now from that earlier story?
My focus, and I'll make sure you're better to a baby. We're not going to be a well, now I was going to find out, but me too, and I say, oh, man, is and this if I am so many creative problems. Maybe at this particular guy, they go, no shoulder. But how I could see everyone knows him. Kabadis and Kamayam will be at him. Or shoulder me see me free. Or man is a couple minutes for us. I'm not going to when see me. Officer, a ticket in a pager. Now, when is a bet to be a man, switch me pager. No, about class and seven no problem. I mean, I'm out to send a photo. It's you don't have catch on I'm not here. I'm not to my banner. She need to train you. I'm not to your numbers. You better to a ban was police for soldier for prison. Or be a member for no boy or woman. When it be any.
So that was Madam Mavis Hawakumsin, Awutu Senya East MP, one of the most popular constituencies that have been identified as a hotspot by many election watchers. And Mr. Okine, from what she said, does it appear that she's feeling the heat from 11,000 gap to 5,000?
She will definitely feel the heat. I mean, looking at, like I earlier said, looking at 11,000 coming down to 5,000, the next time you'll be on alert because you don't know what will happen. It was a drop by more than 50%. 11,000, 5,000, it's more than a drop of 50%. So I'm sure she'll be feeling the heat. But if I don't know, but if she's done her homework well, I'm sure she may be able to regain some of what she lost, or she may lose more. But as to whether the tables will turn in that particular region, I'm not too sure when it comes to the parliamentary. But from the polls, we are expecting some surprises. Who knows? But I like her demeanor this time around. She's more peaceful. We haven't heard any report of she going there with a gun, or any of her people going there with a gun. I mean, those things are okay. Once you can do all the screaming and so on, but at the end of the day, if there's peace, that's all we want.
And I would like to just pick your general thoughts on the process so far. Started at 7 a.m. It's currently 12:47. And I think so far so good. We've not had too many bad incidents that has the tendency to mar today's electoral process. It's been fairly smooth. How would you grade the EC on a percentage level of today's polls so far?
So far, so good. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because having studied the election pattern from 1992, and particularly when I started reporting elections from the year 2000, I've noticed that normally from the morning till about 3 p.m., you don't see major incidents happening. It is when it is getting to time for the voting, the counting to start. That is where you see the trouble, because that is where you can find people wanting to snatch ballot papers and all that. So yes, for now I can give all of us 99%, because those little things that we've seen so far are isolated cases. If you want to quantify them in percentage wise, I can say 99.9%. So far, so good. But my advice to all the electorate, to all Ghanaians, is that, look, if it started well to this time, and listening to all the MPs who are casting their vote, listening to all the presidential candidates who are casting their vote and all, they are all preaching peace. Let's follow the peace. Let's follow that message, and then we'll have a very peaceful country at the end of the day. I mean, tensions are high, and the stakes are also high. But at the end of the day, we need that peace to be able to enjoy our nation, Ghana.
And this broadcast cannot end, especially if we don't speak about the other presidential candidates who are also in today's race. There are 12 candidates in total. I'd like to touch on Mr. Daniel Latte of the Great Consolidated Popular Party, Christian Kwabena Andrews of the Ghana Union Movement, who we spoke about earlier, Kofi Akpalo of the Liberal Party of Ghana, Mr. Mohamed Frimpong of the National Development Party, Nana Akosua Frimpoma Kumankuma of the Convention People's Party, Mr. Hassan Ayariga of the All People's Congress, as well as independent candidates Mr. Kofi Korantin, George Chumberima Edu, Nana Kwame Bediakon, Elias Cheddar, and Alan Kojo Tramantin. How do you see them faring in today's race? 10 of them. As we say, there's a league within a league. How do you see this race playing out with regards to the other parties and candidates?
I remember 2016 and then 2020.
Yeah.
Just before the elections, people were thinking that, the independent candidates can pull some vote. Look,
in fact, we've always been asking or speaking about a third force. I mean, generally, a lot of Ghanaians, after every election, they start speaking about, we need a third force. We need a third force. These are 10 strong names who have achieved a lot in their personal lives. Are they not enough to become a third force in this 2024 presidential election?
We have a multi-party system, but over the time, it has become more of a duopoly. Look, I don't foresee any of those candidates pulling some of the bigger numbers in terms of votes from these two dominant political parties. What I've heard so far, they are so anxious about winning, and their supporters are also eager. Nobody wants to mess their vote up. But who knows? There may be surprises, and that makes the news.
Yeah, and we also have a lot of visuals coming in. That's why we are still on today's broadcast. But I'd like to remind you that today's broadcast is sponsored by the Graphic News Plus app, available for download on the Apple App Store as well as the Google Play Store. The Graphic News Plus app is your source for all the accurate and authentic information on the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections in Ghana. As voting continues across the country, there is optimism for a smooth process. Though election officials are on high alert, ensuring the day remains free of further disruptions. Stay with us for further updates as we continue to monitor the situation closely. I'm Kweku Zurich, and my co-host has been
Charles Benoni Okine. And Zurich, before you sign off finally, let me say something to all media, the journalists. Look, we are there to report the news. We are there to report the news. We are not there to make the news. Be very careful about where you stand to pick your stories. If you find any violent action, please leave the scene and stand in a safe place. If there's any issue with you being beaten by supporters that is against the law, we'll frown and issue statements and everything. But at the end of the day, take your personal security seriously. And finally, I want to urge all Ghanaians to support us, the media, the journalists you find on the field, to be able to give you the best of coverage. Misinformation, disinformation will only come if you tell journalists what is not happening. But I know that with our professional trained mindset, we will be able to overcome this hurdle. It is Ghana as we want, in one piece, and we will get there.
Now, before we go, I've just been alerted that we have visuals of the Vice President and New Patriotic Party candidate for the presidency, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, voting today at Speriga, where he shared his thoughts after casting his ballot. If you can take those visuals now.
Relation Center at the national level to our media partners. And we are doing this right from the start of the elections, which took place a few hours ago. As you are aware, all elections since the inception of the Fourth Republic in 1992, and all elections since the Fourth Republic, that is since 1992, the media have been granted access only when the declaration is being made at the National Collation Center. And so in the past, although some media may have had access to our polling stations, it was only when the declaration was about to take place that the media were invited to the National Collation Center. Today, this has changed, and hence my discussion and my declaration that this is a historic moment. Going forward, as like today, the media will have access to all our centers across the country. As you are well aware, the Commission has today granted access to all our polling stations at all our constituency collation centers, all our regional collation centers, and our national collation center to the media. We have to date accredited some 10,000 media men and women to cover activities in the field. The media will have first-hand verified our collation center at the national level to our media partners. And we are doing this right from the start of the elections, which took place a few hours ago. As you are aware, all elections since the inception of the Fourth Republic in 1992, and all elections since the Fourth Republic, that is since 1992, the media have been granted access only when the declaration is being made at the National Collation Center.
And so in the past, although some media may have had access to our polling stations, it was only when the declaration was about to take place that the media were invited.
We have visuals of the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, presidential candidate of the MPP, voting earlier this morning in Periga. Yeah, so he cast his ballots at the Periga Presby polling station in Wale earlier today. The Vice President arrived in his hometown late last night, getting ready for the big day. His big day, the first time of him appearing on the ballot paper in a Ghanaian election. He was surrounded by party officials and supporters. Speaking to the media after casting his ballot, he spoke about many things. First, about how he has the utmost confidence in the Electoral Commission, expecting a fair election process, and encouraged all Ghanaians to exercise their democratic rights. Additionally, he was pushed by some journalists to speak about the outcome of the poll, but he just stopped short of declaring that you carried the day in a one-touch 51% win. Yeah, so up next, let's look at the second major contender, or the other major contender in today's presidential polls, Mr. John Dramani Mahama of the National Democratic Congress, who is seeking to return back to the highest office in the land. He voted today at Bole Bamboy District Office polling station. Mr. Mahama was president between 2012 and 2016, and he's seeking re-election to the high office, running on one of his most popular policies, the 24-hour economy. Yeah, so the video of Mr. Ahmad just popped in. Let's take it now. For my video team, let's take it now. Before he went to vote, he passed by his father's graveside to pray before voting.
Yes, there's one election that almost everybody can see what the result is going to be. Other elections have been not as obvious, but with this one, everybody can tell the direction in which it's going. And that's because of the abysmal performance of the Bawumia Akufo-Addo government, the situation of our economy, the hardship people are facing, the increasing unemployment, and all the difficulties Ghanaians are going through. They want somebody who's more experienced, who knows how to run things, to come and take over and rescue this country.
What will be a good parliamentary majority for you?
Absolute majority. It's going to be I predict more than 150 members of parliament.
Mr. President, prior to this election, you had cause to complain that the EC was colluding with the party in power. Are you satisfied with what you have seen following today's?
The process hasn't ended, and often in my experience with MPs and in my experience with EC and elections, it's normally peaceful until something starts happening. That's why I said if it continues like this to the end, we'll all be satisfied. But you never know what our opponents have up their sleeve.
What checks have you put in place to ensure that you, according to your perception, are not cheated out in this election?
We've done that, all that any political party must do. We have trained our agents. We have agents in all the 40,663 polling stations. We've trained them well, and we have monitors, we have observers, all looking out to make sure that everything goes well. After this, normally the voting process is smooth, but if the problem starts coming when you have the counting and the collation, that's where most often the problem starts.
Mr. President, you were at your father's grave just a while ago. Can you tell us what transpired there?
Oh, I just went to say prayers. In my tradition and our culture, if you are faced with a battle ahead or some tough task or assignment, it is their tradition to go to those who gave birth to you and go and pray and ask them to stand behind you. And so it's normal in our parts here. So my uncles organized the prayers, and they're Muslim. And so they said Muslim prayers on the grave of my father.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so that was Mr. Mahama there. And this next bit of information is Very important and vital if you don't want to be a victim of fake news during this election period. For all the authentic and accurate news, there's only one website that you have to visit. The website is Graphic Online. You can access it by typing www.graphic.com.gh into your search bar for all the latest updates. As well, you can access the app, Graphic News Plus app, which is available on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. We have a live updates page where you can follow the day's happenings as and when the news comes in. Additionally, we have correspondents dotted across all the 16 regions of Ghana to ensure that you are well covered for all the latest updates, breaking news stories, visuals, and every information you need to stay informed with regards to today's elections. So stay with us for further updates as we continue to monitor the situation closely. I would like to remind you that our next broadcast, our next live broadcast, which will be the third of the day, will be coming to you live at 3 p.m. So you can follow the action at Graphic Online TV on YouTube, at Daily Graphic on Facebook, and at Graphic GH on X. My name is Kweku Zorek, and I've done this with
Charles Benoni Okain.
And we came to you live from the Graphic Online studios in Accra. Thank you for joining us.
Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends. Choose the bundle that best works for you from as low as 10 Ghana cedis weekly for unlimited access to all publications. Graphic, truth and accuracy every day. Information is a great source of power, adding to your options, knowing that quality and standard remains intact, and our content, which is accepted as truth and accuracy every day, is accessible on the go. Access your favorite daily graphic and our weeklies The Mirror, Graphic Business, Graphic Showbiz, Junior Graphic, and Graphic Sports on Graphic News Plus app. It's the digital replicas of our work. Download Graphic News Plus app on the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and available on www.graphicnewsplus.com as you remain abreast of and keep pace with on-the-minute news updates on the go. Home sweet home. Welcome family and friends.